everybody. This is Aaron Breitman from the Scarlet Faithful. A few minutes after Rutgers bounced back in a big way against Wake Forest, winning 81-57 this Saturday. Huge way for them to bounce back. Obviously, brutal 4-game stretch. We talked about it, those losses against Ohio State and Seton Hall. And this was certainly, I feel exactly what you had hoped for coming into this game. Wake Forest was 8-3. They won at Wisconsin. They're not a great team, but it's a credible ACC team. I think they're going to finish top half of the league. Not that the ACC is great, but they won at Wisconsin not that long ago. Tyree Appleby, their best player, did end up playing. He scored 10 points in the first half. Rutgers shut him out in the second half. He got 3 fouls in like a minute and a half. Didn't come back in. Ankle certainly, bothering him. It wasn't 100%, but Rutgers really took him out of the game in the second half with traps. And they just, they came out with energy. They came out with purpose. They took control right away. They did exactly what you would hope they would do. They were up 16-8 at one point. Then it ballooned to, I believe, 30. They were up 17 at one point in the first half. I know it was 36-20. I remember that. But defensively, they forced 7 turnovers in the first 12 possessions of Wake Forest. They don't have the guard play, especially when Appleby not 100%. They're a turnover-prone team, and Rutgers just attacked their weakness and really just made them uncomfortable all night. 22 turnovers for Wake Forest. Rutgers profited 26 points off of turnovers. Really amazing performance there. Defense, we know, I'm looking just fast break points, 20-8 on transition basketball. Fast break points, domination in the paint, 44-16. What else pops out? +7 on the boards. It was 6-0 offensive rebounds at one point, 8-8 finished, but second chance points, Rutgers 12-5. So they won all the key stats. So Wake Forest shot really well in the first half. They were over 50%. I believe they were 6 of 9 from 3 to start the game in the first half, but then Rutgers really shut them down in the second half. 29% shooting overall, 5 of 17 from 3 in the second half. Really just took them out of their game. So that was the one thing keeping Wake in was their threes, and Rutgers did a great job taking it away in the second half. Second in the country coming in, 3-point defense. That'll get a little bit worse after this game, but still responded really well in the second half. This is, aside from what this means mentally for this team, mindset for this team, confidence, this was a huge game for both the net rankings and KenPom. Which, listen, it's important. It is December still, but, Rutgers, especially with, first of all, getting their first, not that this matters for net or KenPom perspective, but they got a high major win in non-conference play. They needed that. They lost at Miami. They lost, obviously, to Seton Hall. You needed a high major win in non-conference play. They just got it. This was a quad 3 opponent right now, so they could not afford a third quad 3 loss. They have quad 3 losses to Seton Hall and to Temple. So that was important to avoid. But, the fact that they won by 24 is going to help the net rankings quite a bit. And then KenPom, just efficiency. This was maybe, I have to look it up, but Rutgers, maybe their most efficient game offensively of the season. They were 1.2 points per possession, which is really strong. And they held, Wake was like 0.85 points per possession. So their KenPom, I don't know how far they'll go up ranking-wise because, it all depends on obviously how it affects overall efficiency for the season. But, certainly a very positive, very efficient game for Rutgers on both ends of the floor. Probably their most complete game of the season. So very encouraging. 5 days rest since the Seton Hall game. I talked to Coach Peichel this week. He said the rest for them to get kind of a little healthy mentally. They had finals this week. They were able to kind of readjust, reset a little bit, remember what was important with school. And I think it just, they, like I said, they came out and they played exactly the way we had hoped they would after the 2-game stretch that they had. Was Wake Forest a world beater? By no means, no. But listen, they played about as well as you could hope for in a game like this. And they much needed confidence, in their last high major game before 2 games now over the next, 2 weeks through the new year. They have Bucknell Friday, the 23rd, and then they have Coppin State on December 30th, both at home. Both obviously games Rutgers should win. Coppin State game does worry me a little bit. Sam Sessoms is on that team, and they've given, forget who they gave a hard time, but they're not great. But anyway, I always worry about upsets. But Rutgers now 7-4 overall. Their Ken Palm is right around 30. Will be. Their net ranking was 45 coming in, 46 coming into the day. I think they probably should be closer to 40 by tomorrow, depending on what else happens. You got to take care of business the next 2 weeks. Got to get a little more healthy, rest up, work on some things. Offensively, very encouraging today. They were 13 of 15 on layups, which obviously has been a problem all season. So that's a good sign. They were 5 of 5 on dunks. So 18 of 20 near the rim is outstanding. They need to continue to do that. Obviously, Wake's pretty soft inside. It's not going to be like that in Big Ten play, but they need to build confidence off of being able to score. I thought they did go stronger, at the rim. I thought, activity-wise, they were a lot more, active and mobile in the half court. They had a pep to their step. They had urgency. Paul Mulcahy, I thought, was huge in this game. Rutgers was plus 37 with Mulcahy on the floor, which is, ridiculous. You never really ever see a plus 30 for a player in a game. But he really ran the offense with purpose. He had 7 assists. He did have 3 turnovers, but 7 assists, 4 rebounds, 3 steals, 10 points. And he looked more like himself. He was jumping around. He busted his lip open in the second half. He plays the way he plays. But Rutgers needs him to kind of play, not be held back. I felt like he looked a little cautious lately. Today, he looked a lot more like himself, and that's super encouraging. There were a lot of great performances. Overall, 5 guys in double figures for them. I'm just looking at team stats if I missed anything. Rutgers shot, 58% for the game. They were only 32% from 3, 68% from the line, but 58% from overall is pretty phenomenal. And then, individually, Cam Spencer, super efficient, 15 points on 5 shots, 3 of 3 from 2-point range, 2 of 2 from 3, 3 of 3 from the line. He had 3 assists. They have 3 assists and 2 steals, or 2 steals. He looked good. I thought that Mag, he was, he did what Mag does. And he made a couple, I thought, really good offensive plays. He had 8 points, 5 rebounds. You have McConnell came out with urgency. He scored early on. He finished with 13. He had 3 blocks, 3 steals, 2 blocks, 3 assists, and also 3 boards. So he did a little bit of everything, which is what they need from him. And then you had Hyatt, right? He had 10 points off the bench. He did, miss some threes down the stretch and was 0 for 4 from the free throw line. Wow. He did have 6 rebounds. He's not the most efficient player, but he does provide some energy and some scoring at times, which is needed. And I thought Derek Simpson, looked better off the bench. He had 7 points. So overall, it was a very good team game tonight, and Rutgers needed it. They needed a balanced effort, and they needed, a strong performance, and they got it. And now we head into Big Ten play, right? It's a huge opportunity in January. Obviously, January 2nd, they're going to likely number 1 Purdue at Mackey. It's going to be a tough task, but, this team should really go into that game, with confidence and just kind of nothing to lose in that game. And then you come back and you have a 4-game stretch where it's, they're actually favored, Ken Palm-wise, in 4 straight games. It's, of course, I don't have it up, but I know there's a road game at Northwestern, home games against Maryland, Iowa, and Ohio State. So I think it goes Maryland. Yes, it goes Purdue on the 2nd, Maryland on the 5th, Iowa on the 8th. Then you're at Northwestern. You come back for Ohio State on the 15th. Huge 4-game stretch that they can win all 4 of those games. Then they go to Michigan State. Not, an impossible place for them to win this year. I think they haven't played well there historically, but I think, they might be better than Michigan State. So this season's a long way to go. We all wished they'd be a little bit better record-wise at this point. Pico said to me this week he didn't feel like they were that far away where they should be. Obviously, they, Miami, they were down last minute. They were right there. Ohio State, obviously the controversial ending. Seton Hall, they were right there. They easily could have won all 3 games. Obviously, they didn't. They need to learn from those losses. But I I think this team, I've said it before, I think they're a tight team. I think they have good chemistry. I think they're still gelling. They're still figuring things out some. I thought today was a big figure things out game where they could take a lot from today and apply it moving forward. I think offensively they looked obviously much better. And they just, when they play with a kind of added energy, and purpose. And, the thing is, like, their defense definitely springs it, but I think more so this year, they're able to play, they're active offensively, whether the defense is a factor or not. Last year, they definitely were more, if the defense went bad, if the offense was they're missing shots, the defense kind of could waver at times. But this year, I feel like the defense is rock solid, and the offense, when they're active, when they're sharing it, but when they're really trying to create and not so stagnant and kind of one-dimensional, I think they're fine offensively. They obviously have to make more shots, but I think that they conceptually, I like where they're at offensively better than they were at this point last year. And obviously that was a product of isolation at times. And, Harper and Gio were certainly, leading scorers and closers at the end. We know Rutgers has to figure out who's going to close games out, who's going to take the shots at the end. I still think Cam Spencer is a candidate for that. And I thought he showed a lot tonight just in terms of kind of being methodical and very efficient. So long way to go. I didn't mention Cliff. What did he do? Cliff had 14 and 9. Kind of a ho-hum game for him, 6 and 9 for the floor, but solid, exactly what you want to see from him. So, I'm very encouraged. Again, it was Wake Forest, a team that they should have beaten. They were favored by 11, and they blew them out, won by 24. So, very encouraging game. Lots to be excited about with this team. Now we kind of have going to a lull before things really ramp up and get interesting, and we have a gauntlet here in Big Ten play for the next 2 months. So get some rest. Happy holidays. It's going to be a fun holiday week. We'll be back Friday, the 23rd, for our next rapid reaction after Bucknell. And I have a couple podcasts planned this week with guests. Obviously, early signing period for football coming up on Wednesday. I'll have lots of coverage at the Scarlet Faithful. You can find me at Aaron_Breitman on Twitter, Aaron Breitman on YouTube, and thescarletfaithful.com, and obviously the Scarlet Faithful on Instagram as well. And I post all over Facebook too. So thanks for watching once again, and go are you.